the channel where it all happens. The Depeche Mode reviews under this roof.
Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers. And continuing with the Depeche Mode album review series, this is Black Celebration Part 3. Now, in part 1, we discussed Black Celebration, the album in general. We also looked at we discussed the sound and the production and some of the, sort of like the overall picture of the album. In part 2, I broke down the vocals and I gave you some vocal examples, and I talked about Dave and Martin's vocals as well as the vocal approaches, and the links to all those videos are below, along with all the previous album reviews I've done. And part 3 today, we're going to concentrate on the song structures. Now, this is going to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first side of the vinyl. So we will do Black Celebration, Fly on the Windscreen, A Question of Lust, Sometimes, It Doesn't Matter. And then on the next part, we will do the remaining tracks. And in this breakdown of the songs, guys, I always like to strip songs down. Like, if I'm talking about electronic artists, whether it be, Depeche Mode or OMD or Erasure or Pet Shop Boys or any electronic artists, what I like to do is I always like to demonstrate the songs on a straight piano sound, because what that allows us to look under the hood and to sort of not be distracted by the electronic sound. Remember that a band like Depeche Mode, it's not only about the sound, but at the core, and they fundamentally are great songs. And I think this is overlooked by people who are not electronic music fans. They might just dismiss it as, well, they don't like electronic music or whatever the case may be. I'll give you a practical example. When I was doing my circuit, and for instance, when I used to play in piano bars, there were quite a few instances, and I remember one time particularly where I was singing a song. I think it may have been a song like World Full of Nothing or Dressed in Black or something like that. I can't remember. Just playing it on the piano in like a lounge bar situation. And I remember this woman standing up and coming up to me and saying, "What was that song? It was stunning." And I remember saying to her, "Depeche Mode. Do you know Depeche Mode?" And she was like, "Yeah, I know Depeche Mode." Really? She said Depressed Mode. She didn't like Depeche Mode, but she liked the song. Another example, my fiance is not a Depeche Mode fan, but there was a time, it comes to my mind once, I remember playing one of the songs on the piano, and she came into the room and she said, that's really nice. What is that? And I said, it's Depeche Mode. And she went, really? So what I'm trying to illustrate in this series is we're going to just focus on the songs. I want to sort of illustrate how great the songs are once you strip the production away. My explanations in this will be very simplistic. It is my goal to not get too technical. I understand that most of you watching are fans and not necessarily musicians and producers. So I want to do it in a straightforward, fun, easy to follow way that we can all enjoy. And with that out the way, let's jump into the first 5 songs, which is side A of the vinyl. And this is the song structures. Now, the opening song, Black Celebration, really sort of like sets the stage for what the rest of the album's going to be like. Black Celebration has a really epic, grand, we're here kind of sound. What gives Black Celebration its claustrophobic sound and its sense of menace? I'm going to illustrate that musically. Now, I will later on, after I've gone through the songs later in this Black Celebration series, I will I will break down some of the sounds, and we will discuss more of the sort of the production and go through some of the sounds. As I say, it is important now for me to just illustrate to you how I see the songs and why I feel the songs are very strong, even without the production elements. So one of the most noticeable things about Black Celebration, or maybe you have not noticed if you're not a musician, is the fact that the bass line is this real sort of like droning, simplistic part, which just repeats as follows. Now, that pretty much runs throughout the whole song, and that is very typical of Depeche Mode. They would often use a repeated bass line, like a sequence that would start and run the way all through the duration of the song. Many examples of that. Behind the Wheel is a classic example where we've got the... and it just carries on. Depeche Mode use that a lot, where they start off with an idea and it literally just continues all the way through the song. Not in every song, but Black Celebration is pretty much one of their songs. There is a variation on that part, as I'm going to illustrate now. So the bass is, let's have a black celebration. Black celebration tonight. Notice how it's not changing. My hands are keep repeating the same sequence. To celebrate the fact that we've seen the back of another black, and then again, day. And that just repeats all the way. Obviously, at the same time, when you've got that boom, boom, you have some other melodic parts playing, which are... So that bass part just repeats with a variation on the "Take me in your arms, forgetting all you couldn't do today." And then later on, when we get the melodic part, which is the... It's exactly the same. Now, if you were watching both my hands, just focus on the left hand and you will see it is the same part all the way through. So once again... I look to you and your strong belief. May I want relief tonight. Consolation I want so much. Want to feel your touch tonight. And then the variation. Take me in your arms, forgetting all you couldn't do today. Now, Black Celebration is a more sort of technology-reliant song. As you can see, it is melodic, but it can work on the piano, although it's not really a piano. I suppose you could go, let's have a black celebration. You could. It is melodic. But what I want to point out in this album is there are fundamentally songs which are really sort of like melodically driven, or sort of melodically driven, although they're all melodic. There are songs that are sort of more technologically driven. Songs like Black Celebration, although there's not much, they are melodic, but they're not as melodic as some of the other songs, which I will demonstrate. Like Black Celebration is very sort of like technology driven. Fly in the Windscreen, very much so. A Question of Lust, technology driven, but it also works beautifully as just a piano ballad because it's got so much melody to it. And I find all the sort of like the softer, more what I call Martin Gorey type songs, like Sometimes, It Doesn't Matter To, World Full of Nothing, Dressed in Black, are more the sort of like the melodic gems of this album. Songs like Stripped, Question of Time are more, and New Dress and Black Celebration are more sort of technologically driven. That's not to say they are any less good than the other songs. It's just, in my mind, some of these songs are just real sort of like melodical gems, and I'll talk you through that as we go through this. Fly on the Windscreen. This song has a feeling of skin crawl and kind of a feeling of dread. Now, once again, as I say, the sounds and the sound selection and the production really give it that feel. But what I want to illustrate now is when you just play it on the piano, see how I want to explain to you how I see why this song has the type of feel and atmosphere it has, regardless of the productions and the sounds. So just in its raw form, I think what gives it that feeling of kind of like dread and the end and the near, the end is coming. It has this is the fact that it kind of fundamentally kind of hovers on this one note. These sort of deep, dark piano notes, they kind of remind me of those cowboy films when, hey partner, we got to get you out of town, and you get that bell going. Dum, dum. It's kind of like, the end is nigh, this feeling of dread. And of course, that song, when you listen to the production, it's got that boom, 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 boom. It's got that groove. But fundamentally, behind that, it just has this one droning note all the way through, which is emphasized by the piano every time they hit it. And we see that in Depeche Mode a lot. If I think of songs like I Feel You, it's got that boom, 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 boom. Obviously, the song has key changes and chords, but right at the bottom, it almost like a kind of like a sub level, or not that deep. You have this kind of one note just running through, and it doesn't change. It just stays on the same tone, and that's what really gives a lot of their songs this unsettling feel. They don't use it in every song, but this is a classic example of the way it is of using that technique. This song hovering on the, it has this creepy melodic sequence, which is so it's got that running all the way through. So and then some more melodic information later on is and it's the combination between that it's just the way it sort of hovers on that one note, which gives it that feeling of dread. And of course, there's lots of other melodic information which goes with it. But as I say, this is more of a technology-based song. It probably wouldn't make an interesting piano track if you did it. But as I say, it is fundamentally quite melodically simple, and it's not a bad thing. It is just more a technology-based song. But I just wanted to illustrate how even without the technology, if you play it on a piano, it really still has, you can see at its core, at a sort of like a composition level, it's really, really creepy. Question of Lust, one of my favorite Depeche Mode songs, and my favorite, I think it's probably one of my favorite Martin Gore songs. Great how the album starts, as I say, atmospherically with Black Celebration. Then they kind of up the ante, and it gets even darker when it gets to Fly on the Windscreen. And then when it comes into A Question of Lust, it's very pleasing. Now, the song flows quite well into A Question of Lust because, as I said, Fly on the Windscreen's kind of hovering on that E note, and then which blends nicely into A Question of Lust, which is the, and then it it has this pleasing little minor melody. And then it goes
fragile, like a baby in your arms.
And the way it comes in, you've had these two dark songs, and this comes in. It's just like a lovingly warm, encompassing blanket, and it's like coming home. Absolutely stunning. And this song really, really is a melodic masterpiece. If we look at it starting on the E,
fragile, like a baby in your arms. Be gentle with me, I'd never willingly do you harm.
And then it's got this.
Apologies are all you seem to get from me.
And then variation.
But just like a child, you make me smile when you care for me. And
And we get to the chorus.
It's a question of lust, a question of trust, a question of not letting what we've built up crumble to dust.
Then it has these great set of descending chords.
It is all of these things and more that keep us together.
And then it goes into the second verse.
Independence is still important for us now.
And it's the same structure as the first verse. Then we get to the second chorus. It's a question of lust, it's a question of trust. The bridge is a variation, which is simply just from an A to a B, and it's simply
kiss me goodbye when I'm on my own, but you know that I'd rather be home.
And then straight back to the chorus.
It's a question of lust, a question of trust, a question of not letting what we've built up crumble to dust.
And a great little descending set of notes, which is
it is all of these things and more that keep us together.
And it has this great little outro melody, which is epic, but quite sentimental at the same time, which is...
It's a question of lust.
The song just soars, and it's effortless, absolutely effortless. Love the song. And this song is one of those songs which I call is a less sort of technology-based song. Although there is a lot of technology in this song, you can see that when it's stripped down into just a piano, it really works perfectly just as a piano ballad on its own. Sometimes comes in as a welcome addition to the track listing. As I say, up until there, every song's been quite full on production wise, and sometimes is one of the more sparse open songs. Although on the actual record there is a lot of technology involved, a lot of sometimes only some. They do a lot of delay and flanging effects with his voice. But the song is actually at its core just beautiful and simple. It's very sort of hymn-like, so almost like a church song, almost like a gospel song. It's simply just from G to basically just G, D, and C. So it's. And Martin just does these really beautiful, bittersweet vocals.
Sometimes only sometimes, I question,
and it just goes to the D,
everything.
and then down to the C.
Well, I'm the first to admit it. If you catch me in a minute like this, I can be tiring, even embarrassing.
It's very simple. But
You can't tell me honestly you're happy with what you see, though sometimes, only sometimes, you must be as embarrassed as me.
and then goes,
Ooh, sometimes.
it is really like a religious hymn. It's absolutely gorgeous. It Doesn't Matter too comes in quite strongly on the back of Sometimes, because Sometimes is very sort of major key and gospel-like and hymn-like.
Ooh, sometimes.
And then we get straight onto this E minor. Then just so see how the mood, how the tone changes, how it goes from
Ooh, sometimes.
and then straight into and then I think, I could be wrong, it sounds to me like Martin went ha or ha or ha. They recorded his voice and then played it on the keyboard. We see this a lot in Depeche Mode, where Martin's voice is used as a kind of a special effect. Martin's voice is very, as I said, he's got lots of colours to his voice. He definitely has a lot more colour to his voice than Dave. And that's not a comparison or a criticism, but you know, Martin can have like a real sort of like an edge, and he also has like his voice is not as sort of like as harsh as Dave's, but he can do like wonderful, like head voice and a combination between chest and mix. And yeah, Martin's voice just has more color. I don't want to go off topic there. So that is why his voice is used in a lot of special effects, and that is an example as well. But what makes the song so effective is the atmosphere.
As I lay here with you,
From the E, and then it just
the shame lies with us.
to the flat, and then to A minor.
We talk of love and trust, it doesn't matter. Though we may be the last in the world, we feel like pioneers, telling hopes and fears to one another.
And then to the A minor,
And oh, what a feeling inside of me.
back to the E minor.
It might last for an hour.
And then it goes to a G, which kind of gives it like it's kind of like watch this.
And oh, what a feeling inside of me.
That's very stern. And then
It might last for an hour.
see, when it gets to the G, it's like, it gives it like a relief. But then you get the tension again.
Wounds aren't healing inside of me.
And then back to,
Though it feels good for now,
there's relief. But then here comes tension again.
I know it's only for now.
And then this beautiful little melody comes in. And then his lyric is so appropriate when he comes in. He goes,
The feeling is intense. You grip me with your eyes.
and and the feeling is intense.
Then I realize it doesn't matter.
The song is just bittersweet. It's short and sweet, and it gets straight to the point as it gets into your heart, and it just goes right through your soul. It's and then it's this so much is achieved in this song. You know, so much emotion and sentiment, and I don't want to get all off the wall here, but it is such a short and simple song, and it's quite minimal in its production and parts, but it's the emotion that really gets you through on this song. And I find all the songs to me that do that to me on this album are songs like It Doesn't Matter, Here Is the House, World Full of Nothing. They're all magical songs, guys, but those, it's the sort of like what we'd call album tracks, or the sort of like the songs that were not like the hits on this. What these songs sort of lack in sort of their fame, and what I'm saying by fame is, you know, songs like A Question of Time, Stripped, and Black Celebration, Question of Lust. Those are kind of like the stars of this album, but it is really the songs like Here Is the House and It Doesn't Matter Too, you know, the sort of like more downbeat ballady songs. They're so emotional, and they are such stunning songs. And that brings us to the end of side A, and concluding this video. As I said, in the next video we're going to do side B, which starts off with A Question of Time and runs through to New Dress. So guys, leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Did you like the way I broke the songs down? Is there anything you'd like to add? If you're new to my channel, if this is the first time you've come this way, I'd like to welcome you with open arms, and I'm hoping you will hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and join us on this fabulous group. We also have a Facebook group, links to everything below. Guys, join in the fun. This is a fabulous community, and you know, we have lots of fun. Guys, please comments below as usual. I will see you on the next video, and until then, you take care of yourselves. Adios.